Hey everyone, Raider here. Hope you're all doing great and having a fantastic day. So we're going to have a fun little video today comparing the S Pens on both the Z Fold 5 and the S23 Ultra. It's not so much a one is better than the other type of video. It's more of a getting to know all the functionality that each S Pen experience offers. So that's what we're going to cover in today's video. Let's go ahead and start with a physical comparison. So with the S23 Ultra, we have the S Pen siloed in a built-in silo, which is super handy. And unfortunately, with the Z Fold 5 though, we don't have that at all. We have to store it on a case. And those of you that saw my last video, I'm not using the case-borne case because it doesn't lay down flat on the table. So with the Z Fold 5, you have to have some type of case to store it, or you're probably going to lose it. The weight of the S23 Ultra S Pen, 3 grams. The weight of the Z Fold 5 S Pen, again, 3 grams. The length of the S23 Ultra S Pen is 4¼ inches, just shy of 11 centimeters. The length of the Z Fold 5 S Pen is 4 5/8 inches, 12 centimeters. The width of each S Pen, they're both the same, 1/4 inch, 1/2 centimeter. The button location on both S Pens is roughly in the same spot. You're going to have a hard time seeing on the black one, but it's right there with it compared to the Z Fold 5. As far as holding each of these S Pens, honestly, I can't tell much of a difference. The added length that we have on the Z Fold 5 S Pen really isn't a contributing factor when writing, and they both feel pretty much identical in the hands. Now let's move on to S Pen device compatibility, because sometimes it's nice to just grab one S Pen and use it across multiple Samsung devices. So let's see which of these S Pens is compatible with different devices, and if other S Pens are compatible on each of these devices. So we already know the Z Fold 5 S Pen works fine on the Fold 5. Let's try it out on the S23 Ultra. All right, we have a new Samsung Note open. Let's go ahead and start writing on it. All right, we're getting nothing here. That's not a good first sign. Let's go ahead and try to use a button. Nothing there. Let's go ahead and minimize the screen and see if we can use the air commands. Nothing. All right, so the Z Fold 5 pen is not compatible with the S23 Ultra. Now we're trying out the Z Fold 5 pen with the Tab S8 Ultra. All right. Again, it looks like no writing on here. The button's not doing anything. And we're going to try out the air commands. Nothing. So the Z Fold 5 S Pen appears to only be compatible with the Z Fold 5 and likely other foldable devices, because I did try it on the Fold 4 and it did work. Now let's try different S Pens on the Z Fold 5 itself. So we have the S23 Ultra S Pen. Oh, right off the bat, we get prompted with a warning from Samsung stating that other S Pens beside the Fold Edition S Pen are not compatible with the Z Fold 5. So let's go ahead and press OK. Just for giggles, let's go ahead and try the Tab S8 Ultra S Pen with it as well. Ooh, looks like the same thing. So we have very limited compatibility when it comes to using other S Pens on the Z Fold 5. All right, so now we're going to test out the S Pen from the S23 Ultra. We already know it works fine on the S23 Ultra, and we already know it doesn't work on the Z Fold 5. Let's grab the Tab S8 Ultra. All right, we have S Notes open. Hey, look at that. We are able to write in S Notes with the S23 Ultra S Pen. Let me see if the button works properly. It sure does. All right, we are having full functionality here. Let's also see if the air commands work as well. I'm going to tap here on the screen. Oh, they sure do. So the S Pen from the S23 Ultra is completely compatible with the Tab S8 Ultra. I've also tested this out on the Tab S9. Same deal. We have full functionality of the S23 Ultra S Pen on the tablet. All right, so when it comes to trying out other S Pens on the S23 Ultra, we already know the Fold 5 S Pen does not work. Let's go ahead and check out the tablet one. All right, that's looking good. Let's go ahead and try out the button. Looks good there as well. Let's go ahead and try out the air commands here. Awesome. So we're able to use the Galaxy Tablet S Pen on the S23 Ultra. So as far as device compatibility goes, it looks like we have to give the nod to the S23 Ultra because its S Pen is compatible with more devices and the device itself is compatible with more S Pens as well. All right, now let's move on to S Pen latency. So both of these devices and S Pens feature a 2.8 milliseconds latency. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at a couple slow motion videos that show this in action. Let's start with the S23 Ultra. All right, and what you're looking for is the squiggly line behind the S Pen to see how long it takes to stay caught up with the S Pen. And you'll see here it's really close behind it. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the Z Fold 5. Again, 2.8 milliseconds latency. I'd say it looks about the same. So good on you, Samsung. I think that's not just marketing BS. We truly are getting a 2.8 milliseconds latency on both of these S Pens. That's awesome. Next up, let's talk about Bluetooth functionality, Air Actions. So only the Galaxy S23 Ultra out of these two devices support this functionality, and it's really cool. In select applications, it lets us do remote control features, so to speak. So here's an example of that in action. We have the camera open. I can press the button. Boom, takes a shot. Here's another example. We have Spotify open. We can press the button to pause, like it just did. We can press it again to play. We can also raise up the S Pen while pressing the button to raise up the volume. All right, you see it increasing. And we can do that downwards as well while pressing the button to lower the volume. We can also skip tracks like that by moving left and right while using the S Pen button. So at the end of the day, it comes down to whether or not you're actually going to use this functionality. Again, I personally don't really, but it's nice to know that we do have it in the S23 Ultra, and this does not exist on the Z Fold 5 unless you link it up to the S Pen Pro, which does enable Air Actions. We'll take a look at the other Air Actions that are available when we jump into the settings. Right, so now let's jump into the settings on both of these devices for the S Pen so we can see if there's a difference in functionality between both in the settings. So you'll want to open up Settings, and we're going to go to Advanced Features on both devices. All right, and then you're going to go to S Pen. So we'll tap on each of these. Let's go ahead and walk through them real quick. Let's take a look on the S23 Ultra. We have Air Actions, Air Commands, Air View, actions for when the S Pen is removed, screen off memos, quick notes, more S Pen settings. We'll go ahead and go in here. I'll let you guys see these so you know exactly what settings are available on the S23 Ultra. Let's go ahead and back up one, and we'll look about S Pen here. All right, so that kind of wraps up the settings that are here on the S23 Ultra. We are going to go back to the Air Actions here in a little bit. Okay, so now we move over to the Z Fold 5. You'll see here we do have the option for Air Actions, but when you tap on it, you're going to see that it mentions you need the S Pen Pro. All right, so we have the Air Commands, Air View, S Pen to Text. All right, a little bit of difference there. Screen off memos, quick notes, more S Pen settings. Let's go ahead and take a look. And on the Z Fold 5, we only have the sounds options. So there's actually quite a few different little settings that are missing from the Z Fold 5 compared to the S23 Ultra. And let's go back to those Air Actions on the S23 Ultra so you can see what those look like. And again, you don't need the S Pen Pro. That's already built in because we have a Bluetooth enabled S Pen. So let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. All right, so here we go. It gives you a little verbiage on how they work. So as we scroll down here, you can see all the default behaviors for the Air Actions. We have a bunch of apps that are already set up for Air Actions. And we have a couple more here where I have the Air Actions disabled. So they'll show up in this middle section here. And you can see here we have some defaults for the main sections like the camera and media. And what's really cool is if you tap on any one of these apps, like we'll go ahead and tap on the gallery, it goes ahead and it lets you customize the Air Actions for all the different specific actions you can do within the gallery. And this is present for each of those applications. So S23 Ultra has this functionality. You also do have it with the Z Fold 5, but again, you have to have the S Pen Pro to enable that functionality. All right, so now let's briefly discuss actually using these S Pens and which one is more easiest to use and which one is easier to write with and is just a more pleasurable experience. So with the S23 Ultra, it's nice to be able to easily hold the S23 Ultra in your hand. And I find this to be really good for taking quick notes, like, get milk. If I can spell right? Go to store. And that's all nice and dandy when you're in portrait mode, but when you want to do some real note taking, you pretty much want to move over into landscape mode. That way you can actually start writing out some sentences. And I normally do make my lines a little bit thinner than this. I'm having them thicker to be on camera. All in all, I'd say the writing experience is pretty good on the S23 Ultra, though it does feel a little bit cramped. Now with the Z Fold 5, it's a little bit of a different story. I feel like I have a lot more breathing room, even in portrait mode. So like we can just start typing full-on sentences in portrait mode. Hello, how are you? It's really nice to be able to get it all on one line. And then when we go over into landscape mode, obviously we have more breathing room to work with. This is just really nice for taking notes. I will say the hinge here, the crease, I should say, does not bother me at all. Your results may vary, but I have no issues with it whatsoever going across it in portrait or going through it in landscape right in the middle. So of the two, when it comes to writing notes and actually using the S Pen, I sort of prefer the Z Fold 5 just a little bit, just because of having more screen real estate. That's what it really comes down to. It's the biggest contributing factor. So my final thoughts on the S Pen experience between these both devices, well, we have pros and cons with each. We have the S Pen integrated in the S23 ULtra. We have the Bluetooth functionality, but we have a little bit less of an ideal situation when it comes to actually writing with the S Pen. However, on the Z Fold 5, we lack the air actions, we don't have the S Pen built in, but writing on the Z Fold 5 with the S Pen is a little bit better experience. All in all, I'd say it's pretty much a wash. If you have any questions or comments about today's video, please drop them down in the comments section below. Appreciate your time. As always, thanks for watching.